Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Game Theory Podcast. This is episode 102.1. We're talking about the news and reviews for this week. Dave, what's going on, man?
I'll tell you what's going on. You're 33 years old today.
Yes, today's my birthday. It's my birthday. I'm going to spend my money. It's a song by will.i.am.
The song written for today, for this moment in time.
For this moment, yes, I woke up and played it. Because indeed, it is my birthday. And I shall celebrate it by spending money.
Which is a great thing to do. What is on the docket after podcasting, which is clearly the best thing you're going to do on your birthday?
Well, first, yesterday I chose to spend my weekend doing jiu-jitsu with people way better than me. So I received many bruises, such as these. You can see on the YouTube feed. And I am punctuated that way all over my body. But
I have a theory about that. I think actually that Amy is an abusive spouse, and this jiu-jitsu thing, which I've never actually seen you do, is a cover story to keep the police off of her trail.
Yeah, I've got like a white belt or something somewhere back there. I just bought the belt off Amazon to cover story. Yeah.
And then
I don't even know what it is. I just YouTube videos.
You show up with like random bruises and like a black eye, and you're like, "Yeah, it's jiu-jitsu, man. It was really hard." And then Amy's like in the background, looking stern, like, "Yes."
He's like, I support him in this. And there's just like tears streaming down my face after a very hard beating, and I'm Googling like phrases like side mount, and I'm like, is that a jiu-jitsu thing? Yeah, it was side mount. I don't even know.
It was side mount.
Arm barred me. And they're like, that's weird, the bruises on your face. It's an arm bar. And I'm like, I mean a face bar.
Just like every time you and Amy have a fight, you go to jiu-jitsu. It's weird.
Never in between. It's really strange. Yeah, so I had a particularly rough beating from Amy is what I meant to say. And then,
spousal abuse isn't funny.
No, it is if it's the atypical kind. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then today we're going to play some games, I guess, online, and I don't know, try to rustle up some fun somehow.
Rustle up some amusements.
Yeah, rustle up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty low key birthday. We used to have this. Me and Amy used to have this thing where we try to
one-up each other.
Yeah, like she surprised me one time with like a big one. I was like, oh yeah. So on her birthday, I was like super surprised, and she's like, well played, and she was like super duper surprised. But our last one, I think it was last year, it cost us something like $1,200 because of the insanity that we're doing. So I was like, let's just.
You had to draw a line in the sand, be like, okay, this is a wake up call. We cannot afford groceries for our children this month. Happy birthday.
Oh yeah. Oh. So we chose to bring it back down to baseline and then go from there. So I mean, it was like surprise trips to different cities with whole families meeting us with full activities of race, movies, food, meetings, just weird stuff.
Celebrity cameos. Bill Murray comes.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm Steve Martin, and I approve of your birthday. Now give me my $1,600.
And you're like worth.
Yeah.
Well, I had an interesting weekend as well. It wasn't a birthday for me, but I, being the younger of the two of us, the Luigi to your Mario, as it were, I 2 nights ago, Friday night, I was trying to sleep, and there were these people speaking underneath my door, or underneath my window. I'm in an apartment complex, so sometimes you get foot traffic. And sometimes people just randomly stop and do this awkward flirtation thing that divorcees do when they want to flirt with each other, but they're also divorced and they got kids and they don't got time to mess around with flirting. So they're just kind of flirting. And I noticed there was a cat running around. I'm like, that's weird. They just have their cat off a leash. And then they left, but the cat remained. And he's just like, meow, meow, meow. And he's just meowing next to my window like a little asshole. And I'm like, I can't sleep now. And then I get kind of concerned because I'm like, wait, what happens if he gets run over? So I'm like, I'm going to get him out of the street. So I went out there, and I waited for a while. There's still no people coming by. And I'm like, man, does nobody own this cat? Did they just leave him here, or did he just wander by randomly? So I just was like, hi, cat. And then I was like, oh, you're super skinny and very domesticated. He's got like well-groomed short hair. Like he looks like he's not feral. So I was like, I don't know. You want to come in and maybe have some chicken? Just have a meal, chicken meal.
Like, invited in stray cats for chicken.
Yeah, it's some chicken.
Come on in. I prepared some chicken.
I got a van with like the words "free chicken" and it's spelled like the Chick-fil-A sign.
Yeah. And it just, instead of a like with the ice cream truck sound, it just goes, yeah, get it, get it, get it, get it.
It's not suspect at all.
No.
And so he just follows me up 3 flights of stairs and in the doors and eats some chicken. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I don't know what to do with you now because I gotta go to bed and I don't want you to poop in my house. So let's just stay on the balcony because I've got a hammock out there. So we're just on the balcony for a while. He's just sleeping on my like I just lay in there and he just like hops on my chest and like curls up. And I'm like, oh, that is very endearing what you're doing right now. I'm quite endeared to you at this moment. So I after like 4 in the morning, it was like 45 degrees outside. I was getting cold, so I was like, I'm going inside. You can stay out here because I still don't trust you. I'm gonna get some sleep. We'll figure out what we're doing in the morning. And so I go inside and he just starts doing this thing where he like stands up on his weird lanky like 2 legs and starts like hitting the window like meow. And I'm like, oh, that is super cute too. All right. So I didn't have any litter box or anything. So I was like, how about this? This is the bathroom. I showed him where it was. And I'm like, here's me using the bathroom. Like, this is how it works. What you're going to do though, is here's a cardboard box filled with wood shavings from like a random hamster cage I used to have. That's for you, man. That's for you. And then I went to sleep. And in the morning, he hadn't pooped anywhere in my house. So I was like, all right, well, maybe while you're asleep, I'll go get you some food. So I did, and I bought some kitty litter. And long story short, I kind of have a cat now until I figure out where he came from or who he belongs to. So I'm going to take him to the vet and maybe see if he has a microchip. And meanwhile, he's a huge asshole is the thing. Because like, so the first night, he's like super just excited to be out of the elements, right? He's got food, he's got shelter, he's like
a weird hamster bed.
a weird hamster bed, which he abandoned immediately and came and like slept on my bed. But that's fine because he's got short hair and he's got white fur, so no ticks or no fleas. You can see him. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. You can sleep on the bed. But last night, so he slept all day as cats are wont to do, and then last night he's like, oh, is it 3 in the morning? You should know this by this meowing I'm gonna do all the time.
It's
Meow,
3 a.m.
meow, meow. And I'm like, oh, like 3 a.m. morning wake up call. Thanks, freaking dick. So I go over and he's like, I want to go out. And I'm like, I don't think you should go out. It's pretty cold out there. And also you're dumb. You're like, he's like a teenager cat. He doesn't really know things yet. And so I refused. And now he's just being a dick about it because he wouldn't let me sleep. So we're having some friction. This is like bringing me back to roommates, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know how you always had that one roommate who he's got night classes or he works the night shift, and so he's sleeping all day, and then at night he's doing the thing, so your schedules don't quite line up. So right now I'm being an asshole to him because he's trying to get his sleep in, and I'm like, oh, podcast.
Yeah.
But tonight he will pay me back by being like, meow, 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 meow.
He has his own little
sound like when I'm
podcast.
sleeping.
It's a podcast.
The
Yeah.
podcast. Yes.
Well, does he have a name?
I call him Cat right now.
Oh, can I submit a name?
Yes.
How about Meowster Yoda?
Meowster Yoda. Oh, he's a Jedi Master.
Meowster, yeah.
Jedi Meowster.
I just thought of that. Okay, anyway,
Great. Meowster Yoda. So here's a shout. If
Yeah.
anyone's missing a cat in the Colorado Springs area and you listen to the podcast, I found your stupid cat and he's a dick.
Come get your nocturnal animal, you douche.
Come get your animal descended from the African wildcat, a nocturnal hunter. I've been Googling this shit. Why won't my cat stop meowing?
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad you got a live-in roommate that's a jerk.
Brings me back to our college days.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well, there's I guess we can move into the news section with all that great news that's been going on so far. Let's do it. All right, this is the recent news section.
And your
it
random
sounds like
crashes in the background. Nick, what's he up to?
oh, Meowster Yoda.
Oh, Meowster Yoda. Wisdom is beyond what I can comprehend.
Okay, so first news item. All right, dude, do you remember what was the name of that comic book, the original one? Do you remember Battle Chasers? remember when we were in college and we used to pick out comic
It's
books?
called Battle Chasers. I know what you're talking about, like the
There's-
weird anime fantasy novel.
Yeah, well, this one was made by that guy, but was made by a different guy, but it looked
Warlands.
similar.
Wasn't it Warlands?
Warlands was one of them, but I also bought one called Battle Chasers too, and it looked very similar, but it turns out it's from a different guy,
Okay.
by a guy named Midura.
All Asian comics look the same. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and the guy who made the Warlands was an Asian. His name's Pat Lee, and he's amazing.
Mhm.
But there's another guy who made he's American, and his name is Madura. Okay, I've only seen it in print, and it's Madureira. And if my American delicacies know that, it's pronounced Midura. So Midura is an artist, and he makes some epic stuff. Well, this Battle Chasers comic was one of them. I had gotten the very first one because the artwork was ridiculous, and it's a little boy hero with a huge mechanical like tank looking thing behind him. Not tank, but like a android kind of. I don't know what you'd call it. Big machine robot thing. Yeah, well, yeah, but it's all like steampunkish. It's like steampunk meets fantasy. So a really fun setting.
Oh yeah, I see. I'm looking at the art now. There's like it's kind of like Robo from Chrono Trigger, but gray and like slightly different build.
Very like that, yeah, exactly. And do you remember that? Do you remember that comic that I had?
No.
That little boy looks like Gallarand, and okay. Anyway, they're making a game now, and the guy who made apparently this guy who did that Battle Chasers did Darksiders, the artwork for that, which was super epic. So yeah, so now they're making a new game, but it's going to be Battle Chasers based on one of his franchises. So it looks awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. Here, I'll put the link in the Facebook page, and I'll send it to you right now as well, so you can peruse it while I go over another news item.
Nice.
Yeah, looks really good. So do you want to hit a news item up?
Yeah. So do you remember Banner Saga?
Oh, yes.
One of the most memorable things about that game, for me anyway, was the music. It was very, violin, instrumental, indie kind of music. Taylor Davis kind of did part of it. But the composer for that game has actually just been charted to be on Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Really?
The music for that. So yeah, it's not a huge piece of news, but I like the idea of an indie artist going mainstream and getting to work on like a big franchise.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And especially because they're so good.
Yeah. And it's a good fit, like all that, especially someone that can work violins and that sort of period piece sounding soundtrack. It's going to be nice for Victorian England.
Yeah. Huh. That's cool. That was a big part of that experience. I think that's what people are starting to understand about video games that they never got before was ambiance. That feeling of these hipster restaurants. I just saw Meowster Yoda fly by. Holy cow! He must be freaking out right now.
He's such a weird. He's like not quite a kitten, but he's not quite an adult. He's in this awkward adolescence where he freaks out about things and starts like patting, and then he goes, "No, I'm cool. I'm a grown cat. This is beyond me."
He's having a meowed life crisis. That was a stretch. But anyway, yeah. What were you gonna say? Shoot, what did you just ask? I got totally sidetracked.
The ambiance. The ambiance.
Yeah, so these restaurateurs, these people making restaurants, this is like all the hype in like the early 2000s and now, the idea of ambiance in a restaurant. It's the music, it's the background sounds like, trickling water, or is it, the sound of clinking plates or whatever they want to do. But video games are getting that, and I just love it when they dial in perfectly to that, and the ambiance matches the artwork, which matches the play style. It's just perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah, very cool.
What's your next story?
Well, okay, so League of Legends, if you know one thing about it,
I've heard of it.
It's what?
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about League of Legends on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
The fan base.
Yeah, what about them?
They're not famously good at pro-social behavior, would be a nice way of saying it.
That's very gently put. Exactly. Well, okay, so they're tweaking it again because, all these things they've done has helped a little bit, but, they still have a huge problem, and they're known for being assholes. So they tweaked it a little more, and now what they're going to do, and this is, if you think that they were patronizing their people earlier, get this. Now, after a game, you're going to get a report card. Yeah.
Like plays well with others.
Yeah. Yeah, and they haven't said yet whether like that you're going to get these after every game. It's still a little vague, but you're basically going to get if you screw up, particularly the details they released was said, if you screw up and you say something like call someone something awful or whatever, and you get reported, they're going to instantly send you a little message, which they used to do before, but they send it in email form. But now it's going to pop up right away and just say, because a lot of people might be their mom's email or their dad's email or something.
And also, they're more effective with immediate response when you're talking about rewards or incentives.
Exactly, and that makes sense because you log in, it says you're banned, and you're like, what? And you're
what'd I do? And it's been like 2 days. It's like shoving your dog's face in like the poo when he like doesn't use the bathroom in the right place, and it's been like 8 hours since he did it. And he's like, what's going on? Where'd this poo come from? Why is my nose in it?
Why do I have shit nose?
Why?
Well, yeah. So exactly in behavioral terms, that's called latency. Latency means how long till you give the whatever appropriate consequence from the behavior, and you want to keep that short in almost all cases, unless you're training someone to do. There's a lot of different scenarios, but typically you want to keep that short.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is a good thing that they're doing. I don't suspect there's just so much working like against them. Like I read an article once where it said why League of Legends is designed to make toxicity. And, it was a game design article, so I was interested. So I clicked on it, and it was talking about the 5 phases of League of Legends. So you get, like, the drafting phase, which, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's like before you actually start the game, everyone's picking what character they want to be and potentially banning characters if it's a tournament.
Exactly, yeah. And there, a lot of things can go wrong. Let's say we're picking, and you and I are picking, and I pick I don't know, an ADC, or I pick a damage, you pick a damage, and then 3 more people, click in a damage as well. Then you're like, what the fuck, guys? We picked first. We got damage. You guys need to do this. Right there, you've got a possible inflammatory. Right, exactly.
That's one thing about the Heroes of the Storm matchmaking system. It doesn't always work perfectly, but when it does work, it's nice to have just, oh, you're a warrior? All right, here's a team that needs a warrior, and it just kind of fills the holes in it already, so you don't have that argument in-game where everyone, like, you don't know who's going to be on your team until the team is already set. And then, ideally, you've got all the roles filled out instead of just a team of all warriors.
Exactly. Yeah. And, it's kind of a moot point once you get high level because, you don't want to lose a game, just like in Here's the Storm. Like in Hero League, let's say someone's like, oh, I want to be Kael'thas, and they're the 5th player, so they pick last. And then I'm like, no, I'm first player, and my Kael'thas is through the roof, so I click it instead. That'd be kind of a jerk move of me, but I could do it if I wanted to and just make a teammate mad. But then he'd have to switch. That's the etiquette. And we understand that to win the game. You can't win without a tank or support. So they're going to have to lock that in. It's just kind of rude. But on the lower levels, which is where a lot of the flaming happens, this is an important step. So then it goes through the other 4 steps, there's pregame and then there's laning, and then there's, pregame where you're buying your items or setting out what you need. Laning, then there's team fights, and then I forget what the last one was. But whatever, it's an arbitrary line. But he qualitatively set it up in 5 different areas and said, here's where you can screw up and get just a ton of vitriol. Yeah. So anyway, this report card thing is hopefully going to help with that. I know that Blizzard, for example, took that into account. One of the things they really didn't want to do was toxicity, so they took a lot of steps to try to actively stop that. The thing that they put out, by the way, I don't know if you've heard about this. Have you heard about the new silencing they do?
No.
So first of all, if you leave early, you only get placed with leavers, and you have to play a few games with only leavers before you can leave. And then you're allowed to join again. And if you do it again, well, you got to play a few more games with leavers. So pretty soon, they kind of filter down to the bottom. But also that now, if you get reported, they check it out, and if it's bad, then they silence you. And at first, it's for 48 hours. So you can't speak in game chat. The only thing you can do is whisper to friends. So you can't speak in chat, you can't speak in draft, you can't do anything. And, Blizzard gives you a lot of things to talk in. There's a lot of pings you can do, different kinds of pings, just like in League of Legends or I believe Dota as well. Yeah, but now you get silenced. It's 48 hours. So you're like, oh, but that won't stop some people. You're right. So the next time it's doubled, and the next time it's doubled, and there's no upper limit. So you could be doubled by you could have 13 years when I think it's at 10 or 13 silences or something like that. So pretty soon you
lost your voice.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that was interesting. I'm glad that people are designing things to get away from this toxicity. But the thing that pissed me off is people started jumping in, and writers started jumping in defense of this. And they're like, no. The things that make League of Legends toxic are the things that make it a good game. And the defense that he was giving was things like, he said, people are toxic, but that's a learning scenario, right? Like you fuck up, someone yells at you, calls you,
Yeah, and ideally the shame and frustration makes you want to get better, is what they're arguing.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's not a very efficient way of teaching players, which we're going to talk about in this episode, actually, is how to teach players how to get better without being dicks.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I always love it when people are savvy on psychology, because you're right, exactly. It works, sure. So does spanking your kid or slapping him in the face for that matter, or just pushing him down and kicking him.
Or putting your cat in a box and just making it so it stops meowing all night.
Just make it go away.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, exactly. The defenses that he gave were all weak psychologically. It was saying things like, "Oh, these people do this, and you end up getting a thick skin, which is helpful for later." And I'm like, "Are you really doing the thick skin thing? That's the bullying."
That's what parents do when their kids are bullies. Like, they gotta learn to toughen up if they're gonna make it in this world. Like, you should adapt to people being shitty, not my kids adapt to not being shitty.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're going to get shitbags, of course. Yeah, you're going to encounter them, but there's no reason to believe that like encountering them early on in life when you're formative and where your social anxiety can come because of it is a good time to do that.
Yeah.
I think college you meet some dicks and you're like, this guy's I remember in college, people try to pick fights with us just randomly.
I know, it goes back to that baby boomer kind of mentality of like child rearing, where it's you gotta learn how to be not afraid of water somehow, so I threw my kid in the lake and then he almost drowned, but now he's not afraid of water. You're like, no, now he's very afraid of water. It's actually worse.
Yeah, in some cases it does work out, in some cases not so much, and more importantly, there's just better ways to do it. Like, people are like, well, of course I set fire to my house, I had to clean it somehow, and I'm like, that's one way to do it, but how about we look at another way? No, this works. Okay, it does work.
It does work.
But yeah. What else you got?
Okay, small news item. Nintendo just hit the 7 million mark on amiibos, selling them just in the United States alone. 7 million amiibos sold, which, when you think about it, when you consider how hard those are to find, that's pretty impressive. There's a lot of dedicated people like me, like scouring Amazon for them. We're looking at Best Buy the day they open. But also on a smaller level, this is sort of perfectly explains Nintendo's weird business model of like making the most obtuse decisions possible, nearly bankrupting themselves, and then stumbling onto something that just sells like hotcakes.
Yeah,
like Pokemon or the 3DS or amiibos. Randomly they'll just be like, oh, everybody wants these, or the Wii back in the day, and it just kind of saves the company because they have all their eggs in this one basket of video games. It's not like Sony, where they can just fuck up. Like, Sony as a business model, here's their business model: let's sell everything that's electronic. They're all gonna suck and we're gonna lose money on all of them, but we'll make it back up in PlayStations. Like, if Sony would just sever everything but PlayStations, it'd be a fantastic company, because nobody's like, oh, the new Sony TV came out anymore, because they're just famously bad, right? Like, that's kind of a famous thing about Sony. Nintendo is the other way around, with like, you know what? We're going to sink or swim on video games alone. And they're like, okay, sounds like we better be prudent. They're like, no, let's not be prudent. Virtual Boy, bam! And they're like, oh, Virtual Boy? I'm like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, but the amiibos are one of those things where they either sink or swim on their design things. There's no in between with Nintendo. And this one actually played off in spades for them.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. And you said that Shovel Knight is coming out soon, right?
Yeah, and which means that they're starting to license third parties.
And what happens when you use a Shovel Knight amiibo in the Wii U?
Okay, this is cool. So the Shovel Knight amiibo on the 3DS unlocks some challenge modes and some random like time trials and stuff. But on the Wii U, a second Shovel Knight shows up in the game, and it becomes a 2-player co-op game.
Oh, that is insane! That's just going to be a whole new game. We've been playing that. We'll go over that in the next section. But
yeah.
Okay, so I've got two small news items I'll give, because those other two are kind of my big ones. I was a huge fan of Battle Chasers. I never, at that time I'd actually gone broke and I had to quit college, and yeah, that sucked. So I didn't get to buy any more of those comics. But yeah, but I love his art style, and I followed him. And then Darksiders I really liked, mostly for like the cool art style and that awesome. Did you see the promo video for that? The trailer that was released when the game was released?
No.
Oh my god, I'm gonna post it. It's so good. Hold on.
Your face of shock.
It sold the game. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Anyway, it's just like this guy, it has to do with the Christian iconography, which I think is really cool anyway. Like angels, demons, the apocalypse, the four horsemen. How much more epic can you get? It's so cool.
Yes.
Christianity's got some cool iconography. But anyway.
I do enjoy that level on Here's the Storm. The one that's just like, good versus evil. Go help your demon fight an angel now.
Yeah. Yeah. The enemies of hell have grown stronger. And you're like, yes. And if you're the other side, it's like your champion has fallen. Oh, it's funny. But anyway, yeah, it's very cool. So I'll show you that after the show, and I'll also post it in the Facebook page. But I was a big fan of that. Those are my big ones. Here's the small ones. One, Disney Infinity 3.0 came out, right?
Yes.
And they've already started. This is from the game developers themselves. This isn't just from somebody's playing in the toy box. They made like a Splatoon type mod where you get a little gaming, you get a little gaming gun, and it's so shitty. It's so shitty.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's like
play control in Disney Infinity is already super not tight. It's not like Nintendo tight.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. And so especially on a Wii U, where that's where our Disney Infinity is. So I haven't played 3.0 yet, but I imagine that it's going to be night and day, because Splatoon actually has beautiful controls. You actually tilt the gamepad to help you aim. So you move, sure, but your gross motor functions, which isn't necessarily true. That's usually large muscle groups. But the quick, fast movements is your thumbstick. But for minute little adjustments, you're actually tilting the gamepad.
Yeah, it gets your wrists involved.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's so intuitive. It was incredible how fast I picked it up within the first 3 shots of the first game. It's insane.
And Disney Infinity, meanwhile, is just like very clumsy, like running around, because they're trying to make it broad based that you could play a game where you could be Donald Duck or you could be Tron, right? They're trying to make everybody fit into the same mold, so it becomes very kind of clunky. And so I can't imagine how Splatoon would even work for that.
Oh, I'll link it. You'll love it. But, yeah, so that's pretty funny. Very small item, though. And it was by their developers. Like I said, this isn't a toy box thing. This is like an intentional design they did. But second, Mario Maker came out today.
Yes.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've been looking at is how people have been designing stages, because obviously I'm looking for penises, which everybody's gonna do.
You're gonna get some penises, like the rest of the developer. You're gonna get rest of development. You're gonna get hop-ons. You're gonna get hop-ons. You're gonna get penises.
The stairs, car, truck. Oh god.
It's just like a given. Like, yeah, of course people are gonna hop on the stairs.
Yeah, it's not like a violation of your property. No, it's like, well, yeah, they're gonna do that.
It's just like a risk of owning a stairs car. Well, yeah, you're gonna get hop-ons. Like, if I was on a bridge and this car came out with a giant staircase, I wouldn't be like, oh, I better hop onto that. I don't know where it's going, but hop on.
Yeah, why would you be on a bridge heading one direction when what is that perpendicular road underneath just happens to have a car that you're like, oh, I need to get down there.
I'm gonna hop onto that. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
First of all, the guy in there will be totally cool about it. Second of all, I won't get injured. And third, it's gonna go to my destination. Okay, so Mario Maker came out, and I've been interested in this, like, as far as like, I love human behavior. Obviously, I don't know, a little spoiler alert, but I'm big on psychology. I like it.
That's weird. You should study it.
I don't know. Yeah, it'd be a big career change, but I might look into it.
I hear it only takes freaking forever, and you only have to live in the worst state in the country.
I should not have taken my first bid. I should have waited. Arkansas was going to give me a bid, and then I didn't. Anyway, whatever. The point is,
and you're in a bad situation where you're like, I could have gone to Arkansas. That would have been a huge step up.
Well, but they pay you $30,000 instead of here, where it's like $10,000, and so it's actually a salary. And we could have stayed with family, and it just would have been perfect. But
yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to talk about my horrible life decisions. I'm going to talk about this game. So there's already been trends coming up. I figured it would be a lot like if you've ever played Little Big Planet. It's just random. Yeah. The levels are just random. They're totally different. There'll be like a stage where like you just push buttons and you can rock out. There's another one that's like a race cars. Another one that's like a movie. You just walk through and it's like Jurassic Park or something. But with this, they already have the top like 5 of them. That out of the top 5, I think the top 4 are you don't push anything.
Yeah, a lot of people love these self-playing levels.
What is with that?
It's like a Rube Goldberg machine. It's just fun to watch the poetry in motion, like just to appreciate the mechanics involved. Like, it's more like watching a show than playing a game. Or going back to our Sonic episode. Remember, a lot of the times that game was the most fun was when you were just holding down Riot and the game was playing itself.
Hmm.
So there's something satisfying about seeing like this poetry in motion.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's more of an appreciation of the game design and like, oh,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen next?
There's actually, it's really interesting on a meta level of what's going on with that Mario Maker game, because they're ranking the games by like the levels by the most popular and like the developer's choice. And then professional game developers are uploading their own stuff. Like the guy who designed Castlevania just made a level, and it's
What?
like hellishly difficult because it's
Of
Castlevania.
course.
So it's just like everybody's got their own take on it. And in fact, Facebook teamed up with Nintendo to do like this kind of tournament, like this game design tournament where everybody showed up and they had like finalists, and they'd go and judge all the levels on like playability, on challenge, on like creativity, and they're just like ranking them, you know? Like it's if you're a budding game designer, like this is your chance to shine.
Okay. Weird. Well, that's the thing. So I've been I'd like to keep an eye on more of that. I hope the news sites keep reporting on that because probably not going to buy Mario Maker for a bit. Although my kids really want it, dude. They're
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't even want it, but then I'm kind of wanting it now just to see what people are doing. Like I don't feel like Creative Bug to design levels, but I kind of want to see whatever other people are doing. So, but my last news item, pretty big one. This one kind of took all the internets by storm, not just the gaming sites. If you had a genie and he only would grant you one wish, I'm going to go ahead and assume, I'm going to speak for you, and I'm going to tell you what your wish would have been. Are you ready for this?
Mhm.
You wish that Pokemon lived in the real world and you could collect them.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
Pokemon Go has been announced for iOS and various mobile platforms. You've seen the video for this, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
You're wandering around. Your phone is like, there's a Pokemon 40 meters to the left. And you're like, oh, God, I got to check it out. And it uses that augmented reality we talked about a few episodes back where you hold it up and it's just a camera. You're looking at everything normal. But all of a sudden, a Pikachu wanders out from between the alleyway and looks up at you curiously and scampers off. And you got to go catch it. How amazing is this?
Well, it's amazing until someone gets run over in traffic.
Oh,
chasing
it's
you
going to
trying.
happen.
Yeah.
It's just inevitable. But you got to break some eggs, Jeremiah.
That is not no. You don't want to kill people.
This is remember that a year ago I was playing a game like this called I forget what it was, but it was another like thing where we use real life locations. You had to go and hack them and like download things from them.
Yeah, it would kind of vibrate when one was nearby, like an area of power or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I played it for like a day and I got bored with it because who cares? Oh, an area of power, awesome. But if it was like updating my Pokedex, are you kidding me? I live for that stuff. Like filling in the Pokedex, like getting a completionist score. I will travel miles. I will walk 500 miles to be the man who gets 150 Pokemon in his Pokedex.
Oh my God, you know what they need to do? They need to make skins for pets so that Meowster Yoda can be Pikachu.
Or a Meowth.
Well, I mean, that's
or is that too on the nose?
Oh, that's going to be incredible, and people will die.
Yes, absolutely. But they can. I'm just thinking of like options they can do. They can incorporate, because you know how like Pokemon show up in certain regions. Like in mountainous regions, you'll find like rock types, and in forests you'll find Pikachu, and in cities you'll find weird electric types. Like they could do that. So like if you go to the park, like if we go to the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, there's a lot of weird rock formations, and then there's a Geodude and an Onix. Like they could sort it out. Like there's so many things they could do with this. I'm very excited to see what happens.
That would be so weird. The kids are like, I need to go to the water park so I can get a Squirtle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But this goes to like Nintendo embracing a mobile phone as a platform for gaming, which they said they're going to start doing more. And Nintendo's always been kind of weird about health. Like even back in Earthbound, when your dad would call you and be like, "Hey man, you've been playing this game for a while. You ever think about taking a break and going outside?" Like they always, like, fat kids has been Nintendo's like chief concern since the early 90s.
Yeah.
And then the Wii Fit, and the Wiimote was supposed to be like Wii Sports, like just get people off their asses and playing more.
Right.
So I think this is another step in that, like getting kids excited to run around and explore again.
That's awesome, man. I want to get my kids moving around. We bring them out to do things, and my youngest is too ambitious and my oldest is too not ambitious. He always does that thing where whenever you're going to go somewhere, you're like, "Hey, you want to go to the park?" He's just like, "No, God, it's the worst." Ugh. And then you get there and he's like, "Yay!"
In his defense, that was me and Tim and I when we were at your house. You're like, "Hey, you want to go for a run?" I was like, "It's like 110 degrees and it's humid as fuck." No, I don't want to go for a run. I want to stay here where it's air conditioned.
Yeah, good point. But just in general, he does that. Like, even if you're like, hey, you want to go get ice cream? He's like, no, I'm good. And you're like, dude, come on. Because then you go, and we always do this thing where we, talk about it afterwards. I was like, what did you think it was going to be on a scale of 1 to 10? He's like, I don't want to play this game. And I'm like, you will play this game. Behavioral experimentation.
You are my subject.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I thought it'd be a 3. And now what do you think it'd be? A 3. Don't be a smart aleck. How much do you think? A 7. What a weird. So it's pretty fun.
Nice. So hopefully that'll get him more excited too, because he seems more like the stay indoors and play video games kind of kid. But this will be bringing the video games to the outdoors.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping. So, all right, cool. Well, with that said, I want to talk about a game we've both been playing. So let's move into game experiences. Gaming experiences. Welcome, friends. We are drinking water, David and I.
Welcome back to NPR. We're discussing gaming experiences with author Jeremiah Bean, the publisher of the study.
Yes. Well, hello. Man, NPR, man. Do not listen to that. Like, so I've got podcasts for when I go on longer runs. Don't listen to that. Don't have that anywhere on your podcast for longer runs.
Get into like a nice rhythm.
Yeah, these people were talking about really interesting
playlists,
things.
like the eye of the tiger, it's the heat of the fight. The next song, and we're back with another book interview. We're discussing.
We're discussing potholders. Hey, do you knit potholders still? Yes, I still knit potholders.
Potholder knitting is sweeping the nation.
Stop with your smooth voice.
It's very exciting. I'm very excited.
Well, it's like in some podcasts, if they're really thought provoking, they take your mind off the pain. It's like for if you got someone who's got a lot of acute pain or chronic pain, you tell them you distract them with video games or movies or talking to them. They're like, keep talking, get my mind off this. And so it'd be great. But then all of a sudden, when it goes back to that, it just everything goes back to like
comes crashing down. Your horrible pain reality comes crashing back down upon you.
And I'm like, I don't want to be me. I want to be somewhere else.
I just don't want to be in this body of mine right now. Please take me away, potholders.
Yeah, potholders aren't doing it for me. But dude, you know what is doing it for me?
What's
this game you and I are both playing, Shovel Knight.
Yes. In our classic come way too late to the bandwagon scenario, we have finally decided to check out the game Shovel Knight that took the world by storm like a year ago.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else is good? Gaming. You guys should play video games.
You ever heard of Firefly? It's a good show. Really
I just started it. It's so good. We need to make this a grassroots movement.
We can call ourselves Brown Coats and just get it back on the air.
That's a great idea. Well, yeah, Shovel Knight, man. So what are your thoughts on this so far?
Okay, Shovel Knight. First of all, okay, the reason I didn't check it out when it came out a year ago was because I always have this pushback against trends that don't seem like they're doing anything but for trend's sake. So when Shovel Knight came out, we were in the midst of this kind of renaissance of 8-bit gaming. Like people were doing retro style gaming, Mega Man 8 or Mega Man 9 or 10 or whatever one they came out with. Like there was another one. There's just like a lot of these games that were just like, hey, it's super old school. It's 8-bit gaming, everybody. And I'm like, wait, are we just doing this because it's old, or are we doing this because there's something to be done? And so I didn't check out Shovel Knight because I didn't want another 8-bit retro fan game. But this isn't just a clone of 8-bit gaming. It's taking everything that was great about the best 8-bit games. Like it takes everything that was great about Mega Man, everything that was great about Castlevania, everything that was great about Metroid, and it just takes the best parts of them and makes the game. It's almost like a best of, like a now that's what I call 8-bit gaming CD, where just all the best stuff from that era and puts it into one game.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's not one of the, you get a lot of, anytime there's a cultural hype, I have the same sort of trepidation because you get people who are doing it because it's a medium, and then you get people who are doing it because it's hot. Like you got that game called Oregon Trail. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Came out around the same time. It's instead of Oregon, like the state, it was Oregon, like your body organ, and it was about zombies, and it was mildly amusing. I played it through once, and then you get what was the next one? It's another zombie one, but it's in the feeling of River City Ransom.
Yeah.
So it's like 2-bit thing, yeah. And you had a shotgun, and it was just difficult, and it was, it wasn't that fun, but it looked like River City Ransom, so it got a lot of sales. Same thing with Oregon Trail. Not all that fun, but looked like Oregon Trail.
It's selling itself on nostalgia, but not on its own quality.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us had been burned at that point. I certainly had, and and I think money was a little tight at the time. And it comes out with like a $15 price point, and you're thinking, I don't know, man, is it
Yeah.
worth it? But what
Um,
finally pushed you into getting it?
well, I had just finished Earthbound, and I was still, I like to have an 8-bit game or an old game in the horizon just for nostalgia's sakes. And I was like, well, I guess I can check out Shovel Knight. And also, I just gotten a rebate from my contacts I purchased in the summer. So I was like, I've got a little spending money. I will purchase Shovel Knight and see what the fuss is about. And yeah, $15 well spent, I will say. I've gotten a lot of hours of enjoyment. I'm just barely halfway through it.
Yeah, okay, me too. I got the same thing. Let me just say this: it's hard as shit.
Yeah, if I was going to compare it to difficulty, I'd say it's like Mega Man 2 hard. Mega Man 2 was probably one of the easiest Mega Mans, but an easy Mega Man is still really hard.
Yeah,
but it's not so hard that it's frustrating that I've wanted to throw down my controller and quit the game. Like that's a lot of the other Mega Mans get to that point where I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck you, Mega Man. You're not Mega at all. You die from just touching a spike. That's not okay.
You're mediocre, man. You're made of metal, and you can't take a metal spike. You suck.
Yeah, mediocre, man. So yeah, but this gets right to that point without being so frustrating that I want to throw the game away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt the same way. It does something that old school games used to do that I realize now that new school games don't do this.
What's that?
Teaching by dying.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like
the game teaches you really well. On the level design, we're going to talk about this in Mario, but if you play the first level, you see it's introducing concepts like how to jump off of things, like those bubbles. You can't progress until you learn how to jump off the bubbles. So it's teaching you that down bouncy jump, that DuckTales kind of move, with the pogo stick. It's teaching you that before you can move on. It teaches you how the digging mechanics work before you can move on. And so as you play the game, you're learning how to play without having to go through tutorials, and that's brilliant level design.
Yeah, and it has a dash of humor involved, of course, like some insanity, some weirdness, and but it's not over the top. It's not gimmicky. So the whole thing has been pretty good. Yeah, and just hard as shit. I have put down my controller a couple times where I couldn't figure something out. Like, for example, I didn't know until just now. I'm at the Mole Knight, and I've beaten way over half of it. And I'm at Mole Knight, and I just realized you can cancel your down shovel attack.
Yes, you have to do that because you will die on that level if you don't.
I died like 7 times, and it's so far from the little checkpoint you get that I've replayed that level to the point where I can do it like on a speed run level, where I'm just running, I hit things, I'm jumping off of things in the air, and because I died so many times trying to figure it out.
Oh, and there's another mechanic that I still haven't figured out, but I was able to brute force my way through, because you get relics, you get power ups, and what's puts this game ahead of games like Mega Man to me are that if the game is too difficult, you can stop and try and go purchase some power-ups and come back. Mm-hmm. So you can purchase life-ups, you can purchase new relics, and there's one relic you get that makes you invincible temporarily, and that's my go-to relic, because wow, that's helpful. It gives you like 3 seconds of invincibility for a magic cost, a pretty steep cost. It'll eat through your magic pretty fast if you rely on it too much. But there's this one part. Have you played the underwater level yet?
Yes.
Treasure Knight?
Yes.
So there's this part where there's these torpedoes and they're shooting, and then there's these walls built on spikes.
Yes.
And I don't know how to get past that part, because I'm jumping, I'm digging through the wall, but then the torpedo is left and I'm standing on spikes. And there must be like something I need to do that I'm not doing, but I was just like, you know what? Brute force, invincibility bracelet. And so I just used up all my magic by turning invincible, hopping off of the spikes, digging my way through. I didn't even use the torpedoes because I couldn't get it to work otherwise.
I figured that out. Okay. It's funny because you get to compare notes with other people who figured it out, and then you understand like that, like this. I actually had
also stubbornly not looking at walkthroughs because I'm trying to simulate that 90s like 8-bit experience.
Yeah, me too. I finally had to do it, and I felt awful. I mean, I died. I can't tell you how many times, 12 times. And I put down the game 3 times, and I was like, I just can't. I like this game. I want to get back to it. So I finally looked it up, and I saw him cancel the down attack and the Mole Knight, and I was like, oh shit, something so simple, because the guy was horrible at the game. I'm watching him, and he's like, he's trying to hit these little gel things, they fall. It's just a timing attack, and he can't hit it. And I was like, this guy, he's gonna get through, really? And so I knew it
this
wasn't
guy's gonna teach me how to beat this level.
Yeah, because I got to the point now where playing it and dying and replaying and playing that I've gotten really proficient with like cool little trick moves you can do, like jumping off people's heads and then flying to upper levels, and just little tricks like that. So I knew it was going to be something simple, but Other than that, yeah, I'm trying to simulate the same experience. But overall, I really like it. It's got that the levels are just long enough where you know when the boss is coming. You're like, I think I got this.
Oh, and there's a really great kind of gambling mechanic in the level design where there's save points. There's 5 in every level or so. I forget how many, but it's around 5 or 6. And when you die, you'll start back at the checkpoint. And if you get back to where you died, you'll get the gold that you dropped when you died. So there's no lives or game overs, but you can punish yourself by not getting to the gold you dropped, and then you lose gold. And gold is the currency to advance your character. It's how you buy life ups and new powers and stuff. So there's a really interesting mechanic where if you're feeling cocky, you can destroy the save point so that you don't like it no longer functions, but it gives you a lot of gold when you destroy it. So like it's a high risk, high reward kind of behavior. And there's even an achievement where if you destroy all the save points in a level, like it's like, congratulations, you're a daredevil or whatever. So there's this interesting balance of like frustration. Do I want to start all the way back at the beginning, or do I want to just destroy some of the save points because I feel like I can make it this far and not have to like worry about it? So, and you don't know what's coming up, so you don't know how hard the level's gonna get after that save points. You're like, am I feeling lucky? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool touch.
Yeah, you could be digging yourself into a hole.
Oh,
yeah, and I've killed it on a couple ones, but you always know the one right before a boss because you get some stuff and you're like,
yeah. And there's that long Mega Man style hallway where there's nothing.
Yeah, you're just like, what is this level design? It's just me jumping on a couple bricks and there's a save point. Yeah,
and
no bad guy, dude. Yeah, it's a food, and you're like, yeah, it's about to get real. And those bosses are hard.
Yeah.
It's really reminded me of Mega Man, where locks the doors behind you, you sit down, and it just has some guy with an intro. He's like, I am Fire or Flame Man or whatever, and then it's basically like that. He's like, I am Treasure Knight,
and then they have a pattern.
Fucking goes, yeah.
But unlike Mega Man bosses, the pattern shifts like 3 times throughout the fight. Like as you harm him, he starts adding new moves to the repertoire and getting stronger. So like even if you master his initial attack pattern, you're like, oh shit, now he's on fire. There's like a new mechanic thrown in there. So it's very satisfying to figure out, but also very intense. Like you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, like that. Have you seen that Wandering Knight yet? Who challenges you?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna take your knighthood, and you fight him, and he does some crazy stuff. But at the end, you're like, that's okay. A real knight's test is how he takes defeat. Now get up and claim your knighthood. And he just goes, what? He cries.
Yeah, he's not. He's
and
not.
If you jump on his head on the shovel, you get gems to like, I guess, to rub it in.
Yeah, that's right. You can beat him up after you beat him.
Yes. So shitty.
But that's a good example of it, because at first he's just got this weird kind of ball and chain. He's got like an anchor on a chain or something, and he's throwing it at you. And then like as you fight him, he starts like getting struck by lightning and shooting lightning everywhere and just really freaking out. So it's a very satisfying fight. It's almost like Mario 3, where you have these wandering encounters on the map that you can remember, those like Hammer Brothers encounters. It's like that. Yeah. So yeah, very, very good game. It's almost like a perfect, it's like the best, it's the apotheosis of 8-bit games. It's just got everything great from every 8-bit game thrown into one.
Yeah, and the soundtrack's good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I still love the King Knight one the best.
Yeah, and you can collect the soundtracks and sell them to bards, and he will play them for you in town.
Yeah, he gets so excited when he sees you. He's like,
oh! He starts hopping up and down, waving his mandolin in the air, like, or his lute or whatever he's got.
You can just smell the sheets on you. Yeah, so overall, good game. What kind of crowd do you think will like it and won't like it?
Oh, anyone that's in their late 20s, early 30s who grew up on these kind of games, who enjoy games like Mario 3 or Castlevania or DuckTales, they're going to like this game if they have fond memories of retro gaming. But also, I feel like it teaches you enough as you play that new gamers are going to enjoy it too. Like, I guess the only people I wouldn't recommend this game to are people who get frustrated easily, because it is harder than what you're used to. If you did not grow up in that era, you're going to be like, what? No, why am I dead? You're going to die and you're going to get frustrated.
Yeah, a lot. And yeah, I would call like these kind of games, and nobody agrees on where this line should be drawn, but I think this game is a good discriminatory function of hardcore versus casuals. So if you're a casual gamer and you just like playing, just sit back and play an awesome game,
storyline or something.
Yeah, and I like all games. I'm not ripping on those games. I love like Child of Light. Outside of the fights, it's pretty chill. The fights is actually, but
even the fights, they don't get as hard as like. It's a fairly easy RPG. It's not like an RPG that's going to be frustrating for new players.
Right, yeah. And I like to sit back and have experiences too. I'm just saying that like for this one, I think a casual player will get very frustrated. I wouldn't recommend this to my wife, who is very much a gamer, but she doesn't like those really frustrating games like that. Yeah.
This is for if you enjoy a challenge and you enjoy that thrill of like overcoming a Mega Man, speed run or something, this is a game for you.
Definitely. Cool. What else have you been playing?
Also, I have been playing Star Wars Disney Infinity.
How's that?
It's I'm back into my running, so I'm using that reward system I did last year where I buy a figure every time. So I just got Yoda. I just got Meister Yoda or Meowster Yoda. Um, it's a big improvement over 2.0. The gameplay is a lot tighter. You can do combos and stuff with your lightsaber. Like they've actually tried to make the game elements more gamey instead of just like focusing on the toy box stuff.
Nice.
So like there's achievements now. There's missions. There's collectibles hidden throughout the level, like Coruscant. You can find all this stuff, and it's all that stuff that other games, modern games, have. So I am really. It's not like the most fun game I've ever played, but it's a pretty solid Star Wars game.
Okay.
The lightsaber combat is satisfying. Like you can time blocks, like riposte off of them, and then like go back onto them. So like there's. You can trigger together combos. Each character has different styles. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi's got a very defensive style. Like he's good at deflecting blaster bolts, whereas Anakin is more of an offensive kind of style, and then Yoda is more about flips and jumping off of things. So they're different enough that each one feels different, but they all have the same basic mechanics of lightsaber combat. And I'm going to be interested for when the new one, like there's more figures coming out that aren't Jedi that use blasters. So I'm going to see how that makes the game feel different.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I think Star Wars: The Old Republic did really well with that. If you're like a trooper, you're very like reconnaissance. Like is that the right word? But basically, no, I don't know about that. But yeah, like recon, where you got like a ton of tools. You're not the most powerful thing in the world, but or you can go like the stand and you're just a mobile platform. You just set up and destroy everyone.
Yeah, mobile gun unit.
Yeah, but then you get the Jedis and they behave totally differently, and the different Jedis behave differently. Like the Juggernaut, I loved playing the Juggernaut.
Yeah,
he's like a Darth Vader type, where when he comes, you're just like, oh shit, Imperial March. It's not the Count Dooku.
Fast. He's not flashy, but he will shut you down when he gets to you.
Yeah. I loved him because I'd just be like, I'd force choke someone, and I'd upgraded it so I could force choke him and then continue to walk. So I was just
dangling in the air, like choking, and you're walking towards them.
And then you could actually do a leap. You could leap forward and grab him. But sometimes, if we came around an objective, I would click the walk button. I would walk around, and I just turn the corner. And by this point, I made so many dark side decisions. My face was fucked, and I've got this mask. And he breathes
respirator.
Yeah, I looked so sick, and my eyes were all sunken. I had all these veins all over my face, and I just turned the corner, and then I choke like their front guy, who's usually some glorious Jedi, just choke him. Then I just keep walking towards them, and they're like no, and then I would like cripple them, so they're trying to run away, and I'm like yes.
Oh man, I got to get back into that game. Every time we talk about it, I feel warm fuzzies.
That game is so fun, especially the evil side, just because in Star Wars you always see it from the good point of view. So we've kind of played through a lot of those fantasies, but we never did the evil ones. You never saw a movie where you're really like exploring what it's like to be Darth Vader or the Emperor,
right,
or Boba Fett. So it's really fun to be able to do that. But
nice.
Anyway, other games I've been playing. I downloaded Bayonetta 2 demo for Wii U. I didn't get to it, unfortunately, because I really want to try it.
Yeah, that game weirdly became one of the best games on the Wii U somehow. Like everyone was talking about how great it was. And I'm like, really? Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta, not the first one, the second one. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's weird. And I think one of the coolest things, the Wii U is, I'm telling you, man, like I wasn't sold. And you remember when you were like, the Wii U is good, man.
I do. I remember every episode trying to convince you to buy one because I was like, it's really good. It's underrated.
It's brilliant. Like whenever I'm playing, even Shovel Knight, like whenever I'm playing it, I can click a button really fast. It makes the battle still feel real time. And although it's smarter to pause the screen and do the over. Okay, now I got the right item. Unpause. Like I like to do it real time, so I bounce off their head. I jump to safety. I click the button. I come back. Like
you got your menu on the gamepad. So like normally in Mega Man or Metroid or something, you'd pause and select a new weapon and then unpause. But you can just tap it with your finger in the middle of a jump, and now you've got a new item.
Yeah. Which makes like games like Metroid Prime. I bet if I haven't played the Wii U one. Do they have that there where you can select
Metroid Prime Trilogy is on the Wii U? Yeah. Do
they have like an upgrade there where you can change it on the pad in real time?
I don't remember. I played it like the beginning of the summer.
Well, whatever it is, like if they need to come out with this on all gamepads, because this is brilliant. This is the ways you can use this is so cool, because like, it's just like if you were really Samus, you're a bounty hunter, you're fighting these things, and you're like, oh shit, I got to change my upgrade. You can't
tap
pause
something on your arm, right? Like in the middle of the jump.
So if you look down at your thing, you go boop boop boop, and like you change your setup, and then all of a sudden you start blasting an energy beam. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it just feels cool, but Nintendo's all about the feel. But also got Sentinels of the Multiverse for us to play later. Haven't played it yet on the PC. We've played the card game. It's fun.
That's my next gaming experience. JT and I, it's been out for a while, but they're testing the multiplayer beta now, so you can actually play with your friends, which is the whole point of that game. I'm surprised it took them that long, but it's so fun. Like JT and I were just, we were in a pickup group with this guy playing Absolute Zero, and he was just like kind of the worst. He would just heal himself. So JT and I were trying to like carry the team on the heroes that we had chosen. But okay, so anyone that's played one player, or anyone that's played like real life, like in-person card games like this, like what was it, Marvel that Marvel game we were playing, what was it called?
Legendary,
yeah. So what would you say was the biggest downside of playing that game?
The fact that you want synergy, and if you don't get that, it sucks.
Sure, maybe? But that's an upside to me. What would you think, like, compared to playing a Here's the Storm game, what would be the biggest downside to playing a card game?
I mean, it could be slow, or there's no graphics.
Yeah. I'm thinking of, and these are my leading shitty Socratic questions that aren't really like very good, but I was thinking of the answer I was looking for as a teacher was the setup. It takes a long time to set up the game and then take it down and like separate the decks, do the math, right? Like adding up things and just all those things that slow the game down. And if you've played Sentinels of the Multiverse in person, like it's really kind of fun, but it's a lot of moving pieces. You got to keep track of counters. You got to keep track of hit points. You got to keep track of like how many +1 bonuses you have to your attacks from your teammates. It's a lot of moving pieces, and it's kind of slows the game down a little bit. It's great game design, but you're relying on a human brain to keep track of all that stuff. So a really great fit is this computer game of it, because it's keeping track of all that stuff in the background so you can focus on having fun. It's shuffling the decks for you. It's keeping track of hit points. It's telling you what your +1s are coming from and where all your bonuses are, and how many counters are going to happen until the end of the world, or, like Tachyon, like how many burst cards she has in her graveyard. A lot of her cards deal with stuff like that. That it's just tracking all that for you so you can focus on the cool stuff. So it's really a good fit for that game.
That's interesting. Okay. That game's pretty fast moving on its own, but I guess it would be nice to speed that up a bit. It's always nice to speed things up.
Yes.
Well,
it's
cool.
like playing 4th edition D&D, right? Like it would be nice if there was a computer keeping track of all that stuff.
Yeah. Another game I've been playing, Dust: An Elysian Tale. Have you heard of that?
I have, but I've not played it.
It's okay. Like it's a lot of talking. I don't skip talking almost ever. I rarely do, but on this game I skipped it. It's just it's talking for no reason, and that's something that really needs to be cleaned up in game design. If you're talking to a villager, for example, in Witcher, and I come up there and I say, "Hey, I'm here for the Witcher contract. You've got some kind of beast eating your corn in your field, and only the corn." And they're like, "Yes, I'm a farmer who lives on the north side." And you're like, "Okay."
Exposition.
Yeah,
backstory, exposition. Backstory.
And then like thoughts and feelings about current events, and I'm like, I don't care what you think, farmer. That's a weird thing to be talking about. That happens a lot in here, to the point where you're just like, shut the fuck up. You're clearly way too in love with your own furries, because they're all furries. But the game mechanics are really fun. Comboing shit together makes you feel great. There's all these combos you can do, and you can like spin your blade and all these anime type things. But you end up just doing the same things over and over after a little while, the same sorts of things.
There's like one combo that's the best one to use.
Yeah, and then they balance it even by like saying, oh, by doing that combo, it actually hurts you over time. And I'm like, oh, come on, the old Fist of Fury or Fatal Fury, Streets of Rage type thing. But
yeah, there was I was actually replaying Borderlands 2 yesterday out of nostalgia, and they actually shined a light on that sort of exposition, like background narrative, too much talking trope that video games get into. Like when you rescue Sir Timberlock or whatever at the very beginning of the game, and he's like, thank you so much, and he's got like a I think he's like a British guy, and he's just like, things have been pretty tough around here ever since Handsome Jack started killing everybody and throwing them in the background. He's been oppressing us for ages. But there I go, wandering into exposition again. I'm always talking exposition. It's one of the flaws. And you're like, oh, okay. So he's like pointing out that normal people don't just tell you the backstory when they meet you.
I know, and especially like if you got a wandering hero who's there to help you, why would you be wasting his time? Someone's like, "Hi, I'm here to help," and you're like, "Let me tell you about my dishes. My dishes have been piling up."
Ever since my wife took ill a few years ago, times have been tough. Let me tell you. Like, I don't care about your sick wife. What? Point me at a quest.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing. Besides Sentinels, I finished Game of Thrones, the most recent episode, and then Tales from the Borderlands. As is my habit, I like to play them back to back to kind of introduce some levity after the Game of Thrones. And holy crap, did I need some levity after Game of Thrones. This was a pretty important episode.
Was it the same sort of emotional impact of the first episode?
Yeah, only more so because at this point you've gotten way more attached to all the characters.
Yeah.
So these like life or death decisions mean even more to you. And there was an interesting point. Without giving any spoilers, there's a decision that I had to make where there was one clearly right decision, like the best decision for the good of the family. Like this is going to be very, very much the way you want to ensure the future of this group. There was another decision that was wrong, but narratively so satisfying that I couldn't resist taking it because I'm like, oh, that's the perfect arc for this character. Oh my God. So like, it was a weird moment where I felt like George R.R. Martin, where I was like, oh, if people are reading this book, they're going to be mad at me, but this is just such a great writing moment. I have to do it.
That's awesome. I can't wait to play that.
Yes, I'll be interested to see what you do in that episode. But after that, I needed some levity, so I played Tales from the Borderlands, which is usually my comedic, this is a fun laugh a minute, no consequences, kind of like palate cleanser. Yeah. The wasaki to my sushi, as it were, or the wasabi to my sushi. No, turns out this is like the most depressing episode of Tales from the Borderlands yet. So I'm playing it, and I'm like, oh God, why? Like, it's not Game of Thrones depressing, but for that series, it was very dark, and I did not get the levity I was hoping for. There were still laughs.
I'm imagining the employees of Telltale Games saw some shit this week or something, or this past couple months. Like, they got a foreclosure or something on their main office.
Their wife left them, and
the director, and he's like, "This stuff's too nice."
They just got introduced to like existentialism, and they're just like, "Oh man, you know what? Camus is right. Everything is absurd."
Let's fuck all our characters over.
So yeah, play those. I want to see what you do.
Roger that, will do. But that's all I played, my man.
Well, that's all I played too. Although I was introduced by some of the, I think it was Calvin on the Facebook group, to a new anime that is really hard to describe. It's called Mushishi. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, the best way I can describe it is if The Witcher was Japanese and didn't fight that much. He just came and solved problems.
Okay.
So you know how The Witcher, like, you're kind of wandering around and you're encountering things out of European folklore, and then you're dealing with those problems?
Yeah.
Or the TV show Supernatural. It's two guys driving around and they're taking things out of Americana folklore, like a Yeti or something, and they're solving it. This is that, but for Japanese. So it's coming out of Japanese folklore. Like, these are things that, like, his grandmother would tell him stories, the guy who created the show. And they're just old stories from like old Japanese legends. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. And then they're seeping into his anime. So it's like, you know, spirits and kami and all this stuff is just, I don't know. It really feels, it's almost an atmospheric anime. Like, there's no big fights. There's no big world like ending threats to, you know, power up your Kamehameha for 3 episodes so you can shoot it in the face. It's just, I wander in, I use some knowledge about what's going on, I explain the myth to you, and then I kind of resolve it and move on to the next city. So it's very, the soundtrack is really beautiful. It's got very kind of traditional. If you love Japanese folklore, Japanese mythology, just the culture, it's weird. When I travel, I love going to Europe, right? Because it's like my backyard. Our Enlightenment ideas came out of Europe. A lot of our culture comes from Europe. It feels nostalgic to be in Europe for me, right? But when I go to Japan, everything is so alien and everything is so weird. It's just like I'm in a different world. And there's something about the novelty that makes it really interesting to travel in Japan. Like you're just completely out of your element. You're a fish out of water. And it's a satisfying experience. because we crave novelty. That's how this show feels. It feels like it would be nostalgic if I had grown up in that atmosphere, but because I'm not, it's just like this really interesting, almost tourism kind of thing where I'm just wandering around this completely different culture and just soaking it in. So I know that we have a lot of anime fans in the audience. Mushishi, if you want something that's completely different from anything you've seen, check it out. It's on Hulu.
Awesome. Okay, we'll do. Well, okay. I think that wraps up that section. I guess that's going to bring us to the part 2. So we'll see you on the other side.